Well, they did not at that meeting. They said that if banks didn't approve, there's no problem. We got the money, we're gonna build it November 1.
We've got a loan, but guess what? And we've got the money now, finally.
But we've been hearing that. I've been hearing that since November.
We've come through COVID.
That
Money
doesn't
should
mean
have been in
anything.
place before the CON was approved.
Oh, and
Everything
that's
should have been
something
in
else.
place. Once the CON was approved, I was
Hey.
expecting to see construction the next day.
Well,
That's what we were
Evolution.
told. You know, we were told that.
but I didn't tell you that.
No, sir, you didn't, but BFG did.
Well, I don't remember.
And they're the ones that's got the
saying
money here.
So we needed the hospital 3 years ago. Everybody agrees about that.
20 years ago.
What do we do now? We gotta have some time frames. We gotta have something.
anything. You're not gonna get a time frame
Well,
from
the
me.
the peanut company, when they came in, they said by September 1st, we're gonna have,
I'm
we're
glad
gonna
for
be
them.
storing
They
peanuts.
had
at
everything
this
lined up,
location.
Steve. They had everything lined up. We didn't.
Well,
We hadn't had
that's
any
what we're
help. We've
asking, to
had
get
all
things
this
lined up so
negative
we can move
bullcrap.
forward.
We've
We
come
gotta
through,
move.
but we've overcome it.
We gotta move forward.
I think.
And we are.
But why do we have a CON locked up? If you didn't have the stuff, then why not apply for a CON?
Well, you know what? That's just the way you do things, Jake, and I'm gonna tell you something else. We've already purchased hospital equipment. The CON, and how dare you come and ask these people not to do the CON after all this work? I'm just appalled at that.
Oh, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
But if we had honest answers and true facts, we wouldn't have a problem.
Honest answer.
If we would have all got on the same boat and worked together instead of you working against us, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems.
I haven't worked except one in the hospital.
Hey, listen, at least we live in America and we can do this.
Exactly.
I'm out of here.
I think now that
The
this,
main thing is to move forward from now. What do we do now? Because we're losing time.
We cannot do anything until the CON opens up.
I don't think we can do anything at that point because the way I understand it, it's merely a formality to apply for an extension of your COA.
No, sir. No, this is board. This is board approved. The formality was 6 months ago. 6 months ago, they should have had a good reason, and they probably blamed it on something, I'm sure. But,
This is now.
and hospital equipment is not a hospital. You can buy a bed.
Well, that's irrelevant.
At
I
least
think,
somebody's trying to do that.
I think
Say
the
what?
fact,
At least somebody's trying to do something.
I don't know if they're trying to do that. I wouldn't believe it. I just don't believe it, because how many times we've been told it's
And
inaccurate.
sir, maybe that you need to be the one to head up the next hospital renovation, or next hospital.
I'm volunteering tonight. If you all will stand by your guns and say CON or, construction or CON, no
Why
CON?
haven't you done it up to now? Why haven't you supported this up until now?
What do you mean?
Oh, sir, do we really want to go there?
Please.
The things that have been said and done and straight up, this town has been ran for years and years and years and years by a certain entity. This certain entity has fought us tooth and nail on this.
There's a certain entity.
I'm not gonna call names.
So there we go again. I mean, if you can't talk and say what you've done, you're the same as what's been going on right now.
Don't link me to this.
Well, I'm just saying, you're not wanting to say anything. You're saying, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. It's just
And what
not.
are you doing, sir?
What am I doing? I'm standing here in front of you all this evening,
I think-
asking you all to do something.
Yes, and my question to you is, if we do what you were requesting, which I find very appalling myself, what is your plan, sir?
I would ask that the
You have the
council,
same amount of time to come up and build a hospital as these people did.
no ma'am, May 14th, we hired, I don't know if you all know this, but there's a hospital consultant hired.
I do know that.
And the hospital consultant, after May 14th, after the big media announcement, was absolutely worthless because there is nothing else that you can do. When CON was big publics like that, big display, there was absolutely, no one wanted to waste their time on a proposal since they can't come here because CON's not available. Simple as that. And I'm not fighting, I'm upset with the fact that I live in a town of
As we all.
11,000 without a hospital.
As we all are, sir.
And all I heard tonight was just normal business. And every other meeting has been normal business. There's nothing, no one's pushing anyone to get a hospital. You all sit there and wait,
It's
you
been
play
brought
catch.
up a few times as far as the time frame and stuff.
But I mean, as far as,
I know.
let's draw a line in the sand and say, this is what's gotta happen.
I think we have that ability now though, since we've made the purchase of the land. I think it gives us a little bit better grip on asking, demanding, whatever, then what will happen?
We have other land available. We're not,
But so-
you don't have to be built.
I think the best purpose of that land is an Aldi's right now. At this
That's on
point,
support.
is an Aldi's. That would be the best purpose for this land
And I-
right now. You know, some other commercial venture.
But we as a
And
city
that's
tried to
possible.
stimulate the situation.
But,
We did.
you know, it's just, no one believes anything anymore. We've all heard too many different stories, and there's
On
no
both
reason.
sides.
You
On
think?
both sides.
Again, please tell me. Please tell me the other side, that you don't, that I don't know what you're talking about, that you do.
There are certain things, sir, that, as you mentioned, need to be discussed behind closed doors.
I'm laying it out right here. It's a public meeting. It should be public,
Yes, it
because
is
it
a
is the
public
public hospital.
Like I said, the same entities that have controlled this community for years and years and years.
There's no
we have a
cabal here in
discussion
Kennett,
of-
Missouri. There's no one controlling anybody here in Kennett, Missouri. There's not. I mean, that is such
I
a,
don't know what you're talking
that is such an, I don't know which one about either, but you make it sound like there's a cabal controlling puppet strings here. There's not.
Sir, do not try to make me look like an idiot.
Well, tell me then, who's controlling Kennett? Because you're not making sense.
Would you like to add anything to this?
Who's this? I mean, please do. Let's lay it out there so we can move forward, hopefully. Because I'm asking the council to put up for a vote. I would appreciate if council, my representative, or any councilman would put this up to a vote. Not tonight, but in 2 weeks from tonight. Let's put on record who's for getting a hospital and who's for waiting on maybe getting a hospital.
I
That's
think
not
we're
a
all
fair
for
way to
getting
put
a
that.
hospital.
That's not a fair way to put that at
No,
all.
it's not.
It's really not. Both sides are wanting the same thing, but don't say getting a hospital and hopefully getting a hospital when both sides are wanting the same thing. That is absolutely unfair.
I understand, like my first paragraph was that we're all got the hospital mind, but if they don't have a CON, they can still be doing what they've been doing the past year without tying up the CON for a city of Kennett. They can still, and if they get the funding and they actually bring it to the board and prove it that they have the funding, they can reapply. No one's gonna come in and reapply for a CON and take it away from them. No one is. You can't do that until you have the financing. And you have the plans and the, just like any other $30 million venture, you have some more plans than just hee-hawing around. I would never come up and apply for a CON and say that I've got money and not show what I've got and not give you a reason.
Roger's got a question in the back.
I'm ignorant, I guess, what's a CON?
Certificate of need.
You have to show that
Certificate of
you have
need. Certificate of need,
in the
okay.
community for treatment and medical care.
Okay.
It's basically,
And
in
that was
theory,
all voted unanimously up there at Jeff City that we need a hospital.
Well, I do too, but I just,
Yes, the
we
abbreviation.
deal in acronyms and whatever, and so
and I believe it's more or less like a monopoly license.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's
It
really, well, yeah, more or less it is. Somebody else can come in and get a certificate of need, but they're probably not gonna get it if, if
If
one
there's
of
another one in place.
already has one in place. You're probably not gonna get it. I mean, it's not technically a monopoly, but it works like one.
It's not worth it.
Especially at town market
Yeah.
size.
They're not gonna, they're not gonna give two
Is it
CONs for
transferable?
hospitals.
Can they transfer it to someone else?
Hmm?
Is it transferable?
Yes,
Is it marketable? Can they sell it for a price?
yes.
That's just, I'm asking.
Further questions? Wondering that myself, if they could obtain it and then sell it
Well,
off.
Jake, I'd say that based on what Stan told us, I'm hoping that within the next 2 weeks, that for once, we'll have a definite answer if we're moving forward or not. Based on what he told us tonight, that the money's in place, and I agree with you, the money should have been in place September the 3rd, knowing that they're going up there September the 4th, is what we do now. What we need to do now is probably wait the 2 weeks, and maybe hopefully they'll give us a time frame, or maybe we'll see something happening. Based on, well, that's what he just told
I
us
agree, no, I
tonight.
agree. And 6 months ago,
6
when I was
months
here,
ago, we heard the
they had a
same
big
thing. I
media blitz
understand,
and,
I
you know,
understand. But
so.
now, supposedly the money's in place, and everything should start happening.
I agree. I want this
So
to happen.
I'd say, I hate to say this, but that we need to wait 2 more weeks. I'm like you, we needed the hospital 3 years ago.
We waited 3
What we
years,
need
2
to do
more weeks,
now,
it'll kill us.
that's just a suggestion, that we wait and put a time frame.
And I'm-
We gotta have a time frame.
I'm happy,
I'm
I'm perfectly happy with that. I mean, the 2 weeks is just, we do need to make that vote if they don't show any results. There needs to be a vote with the council. Yeah, not in 2
Well,
weeks,
and
not
we
2
got
weeks, it
until
could be.
September the 4th.
Anytime before September 4th.
So let's just see what happens as a next step.
I agree. I'm perfectly happy with that. But, you know, if you know, August, the second meeting in August rolls around here and there's no action, I hope that we can put a vote.
And then again, it's a private entity, they had a plan, they had the CON, they had everything. Nothing as a city we could have done to say, speed it up or slow it down.
I agree with that.
I
But
mean,
at the hearing,
we're
you
not
could
happy
make
with the
that vote.
outcome, we're not happy with the outcome, but nothing else we could have done.
No, I agree. I'm not blaming anyone in this room.
And I've been on the other
First
side too,
deal.
I've been on the hospital committee, I've heard, you know, the other options or the other backup plans that we had. And we're just stuck in the middle right now.
I agree.
But I totally agree with you, we gotta have a time frame. That's what I'd like to see, a firm time frame, because we're lagging behind. And we're losing valuable time. But everybody here, including you, will agree with that.
I agree.
It's hard to get industrial prospects if you don't have a, you know,
Well, if
a
nothing else,
hospital and.
I think if you got a kid choking, turning blue, what are you gonna do?
I can,
You know, it makes me reconsider why people are here. I mean, it makes me think twice about that. And it hurts me to say that, and I would never think that myself, but I can perfectly understand why my niece and nephews and my own children choose not to come here if there's no hospital and no development here.
right, and that.
My second daughter graduated, a month ago, and one of the options was to come here. She don't want to come here because there's no hospital here.
Nursing homes. I don't know if you
I
want
mean,
her. The
I
nursing
hate to
homes
say
are hurting
this,
right now.
She stayed in Kansas City because of it.
Yeah.
Talk
One
to
of the
any
reasons that
physician
she
and they
stayed
can,
there.
any physician can tell you the numbers of their patients that have not made it because of the distances need to be traveled. It has cost lives in Kennett, there's just no doubt about it.
Everybody.
And we'll
The
continue
very
to do
first
so.
night the hospital was closed, we transported a critical patient to the parking lot of the hospital, then we landed. And that individual died before they could get the helicopter up the building. And I knew then that it was gonna be a detriment to the community. That was a reality check right there when you're with a patient and you knew that if that ER would have been open, they'd have had a better chance of survival.
Exactly.
But didn't.
Just common sense. You know, if you didn't have a PD, you would be doing all that you can do, right, to get the PD going. But we don't have a hospital.
I agree with
That's
you. We
right
need
there with
to make it a priority that we need to.
And be more proactive as much as you can be,
Well,
you know.
you know, like you said, I think everyone has, but at the end of the day, like you said, you can't speed it up. Even if you wanted to, we can't.
No.
As a city, we
No,
cannot
you
speed
can't.
this up. We're along for the ride.
Not till September 4th. September 4th, you could do something.
I agree, but between the time that was filed and September 4th, we're along for the ride.
Yes, sir.
We
Yes, sir.
can like it, love it, or we can get over it, but we can't do anything until that date. And I'm just as frustrated about this as you are. And us standing up here pointing fingers and calling names is about the most counterproductive thing I've done in a long time. When we're all wanting the same things. Doesn't matter to me whose name is on that hospital.
Bingo.
I could care less.
Yeah.
As long as it's here to serve this community, that's the main goal. That's your main goal, my main goal, their main goal. Like, everybody can agree on that.
And I don't, you know,
Doesn't
We-
matter.
I'm not here because I got any kind of interest in anything except for hospital. I have nothing financial, I have no political, I don't care about any of that. I want a hospital in this town.
I like
Everybody
everybody, we're all on the same page on that. We can all agree
How
on
about
that.
if you make sure you're here the last meeting in August?
I'd be more than happy to.
That would be great.
Even
Just to
before.
remind us.
And I hope it's on the agenda.
It will
Not
be.
just public
It will
participation,
be.
but on the agenda.
We can make sure that, of that.
And I think word will get around pretty quick to them that they need to either poop or get off the pot.
For lack of a better term.
If, as long as you all as council can stand behind that. As I've taken up enough of your time, I do appreciate it, all of you all.
We appreciate you coming.
And sorry I lost my cool a little bit, but it's
Everybody's on the
just,
same
it is
page.
just,
We're all.
we need to do something.
We're all.
You, I, everybody
Same
here.
thing.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you. Who else?
What else?
Hello, my name is Calendria Johnson, and I live at 706 North Vanderbilt Street, and I'm here today in regard of fireworks. I would first like to say thank you to the police department and our fire department and everyone involved for all their responses and their caretaking in regard to all the incidents and everything that happened. On Saturday, I received a call from my neighbor because I wasn't home that there were some juveniles shooting fireworks at my home and that my trash can was on fire. So I got home and we called the police, and there was one that showed up and he went down to talk to the juveniles, and things seemed okay for about 30 minutes. And 30 minutes had passed and 3 juveniles showed up again and shot fireworks directly at my home. And it was about 3 juveniles and 3 fireworks that were very big, and they shot them directly at my home. So the police came back, and there was more than one that time, and I'm assuming that a citation was issued to the responsible adult, but upon hearsay, I realized that the responsible adult, it was probably 18, because the mother does not have custody of the kids for whatever reason. So in regard to all of that, I would like to urge you all to reconsider and revamp all aspects of the fireworks. Maybe we can get some input from landlords, from the vendors, and other citizens that may have complaints. Maybe form some kind of committee or just get more city involvement. And as we just heard, we don't have a hospital, so when things happen with people getting their arms and other things happening, what do we have to be available for assistance when things like that happen? But that's all I have, but like I said, I urge you all to please reconsider all aspects of the fireworks situation in our town.
Ma'am, did you see them discharge the fireworks the second time?
Yes, I was sitting across the street
Were
at
they
my
using the
neighbor.
bottle rockets or the bigger tubes or?
I believe it was like these big
Okay.
tubes of things.
And so you saw them,
Yes,
saw the juveniles?
yes,
Did you sign a complaint for it?
yes.
Okay.
Good.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for
There was a
coming up here
citation
tonight.
issue going on. I know what you're talking about. There was a citation issue.
Yes.
Two,
I guess-
really, had to know if they was there at the time.
Oh, really? Good.
Yes.
Okay. I guess in my mind, it's like, well, the citation has been issued, but I wasn't home. Just consider if my neighbor hadn't been home and things like that were going on, and my house would have been burned down, then what? So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out.
Mr. Mayor, in regards to her comment, I figured we'd hear 1 or 2 tonight. Mr. Walker, who's not with us any longer, came like 2 or 3 years in a row, and we've yet to take any action, even off of his complaint. So I think we do need to look into it. I know in talking to Mr. Fire Marshal Mr. Hamlet, it seems to me that the mortar tubes and the bottle rockets, individual mortar tubes, not the ones you buy, that's, prepackaged like 6 or 7 of them, but the individual, that keeps coming up time and time again as being the culprits with the wars and everything else. So, I don't know, we need to look at several things probably.
Okay.
I hate taking drastic action, but I think we need to do something to show the public that it's getting worse. Every year we get different people for the same complaints or whatever.
Now, I know she would disagree, but I don't believe from what I've heard that it was as bad this year as it was 3 years ago.
The call volume was a lot better.
Yeah,
A lot better than it
and
had
so
been.
we have made a dent in
Yep.
it in some manner by changing our dates and making sure that.
Deadlines and
Yeah.
restrictions that we put in.
So we've
takes
Put it
a
in the right
small
direction.
step.
Yeah, headed in the right direction, but that's not, I mean, otherwise, we'll have to see.
I hate to just come up and cut it right off.
Right.
Now, okay, we took that small step, what's the next one we need to look at?
And that's about what's left, is restrict the type that we sell or restrict them entirely. So that's probably, but I do like hearing the fact that the call volume was down and that she had, that you got some response at least from the city. And that was, Mr. Walker was always first to say that we did respond to his needs.
And I agree with you, but then hearing about a serious injury or,
Yeah,
you know, back to the mortar tube,
yeah.
you know, it's like, how many of them did you get injured that were doing the same thing?
Mhm.
And it seems like right here.
Still, we gotta get back to the parental responsibility.
Yeah, let's get back to the first responsibility.
Well, this has been a subject for years, for many years, but you also gotta remember, and this came up then, that our city limits only go so far. You only control the city limits. And just like any other city, you start restricting a lot, they're just gonna post it right outside the city limits, and you lose tax revenue also. So you're not gonna gain a whole lot by just restricting certain sales and things of such. So just ponder on that too.
The next street over is not city property, and I'm hearing things when I come up here at night exploding, you know, and that's not, it's not within the city, so there's nothing we can do about it.
And that's another thing, comes down to involvement, like, you know, if they're shooting off on city streets, that's illegal. But if you saw it and you'll sign a complaint saying that, hey, this house right here was under this parental supervision, again, it comes down to your involvement in your neighborhood and taking responsibility in your neighborhood, because our police officers can't be everywhere all the time, because by the time you call, they're already done and gone. So if you saw it, and you're able, and you will sign a statement to
More
that,
people like you.
it's what it'll take. All right. Anyone else? 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're gonna need a motion to go into closed session with a 5-minute break.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Favor?